Special things to think about when you're gifting to a GRAT rather than a dynasty trust. And for those who don't know, a GRAT is the type of trust that pays you an annuity each year. The annuity is usually set up so that it's equal to the amount you put in plus some amount of interest. And the interest is based on an IRS interest rate that's set every month. But the basic idea is that if you generate returns that exceed the annuity amounts that you're being paid by the trust, whatever's left over at the end of the term, it's usually a 2-year term, can pass to your children, or whoever your beneficiaries are, usually your children, free of gift tax. And so it's a way of transferring assets out of your estate without even using any gift tax exemption. With GRATs, the calculus for what you want to gift is a little bit different. You generally want to gift assets that are highly volatile. And the reason is there's no downside because you're not using a gift tax exemption. There's no downside in putting a meme coin into a GRAT only for the meme coin to be worth nothing. If it's worth nothing, you just haven't accomplished anything, but you're no worse off than you would have been otherwise. But if that meme coin ends up quintupling in value, then you've transferred a ton of value out of your name into the trust.
And
Um,
if I can help frame this decision, this is one where I think, unlike with the other factors, where the question is really, I'm already doing this kind of trust, which assets make the most sense? That's partly true here. If you're doing a grad, you want to search around for volatile assets that are likely to grow a ton and maybe have some downside because who cares? But also, this is one case where I think it actually might make sense to turn that question around and say, have an asset that I expect to behave like this. And I know I want to give money to my kids or my grandkids or whoever. Now might be the time to do a grant
yeah,
because I own a meme coin that's worth $1 million right now. I expect it to be worth 10 in 2 years. Maybe it's worth zero, but if it ends up worth 10 and I'd held on to it, that money is stuck in my estate now. And so if you think there's that chance of the big upside, but you're also risking that downside, that might be a time to tell yourself or to work with Valor to decide, hey, let me put some of this at least into a grad to hopefully capture some of that explosive growth and
yeah,
get it out of my estate to my kids. Is that fair, Peter?
yeah.
I want to, before we go to the end here, I want to ask one more related question related to that sort of framing, turning the question on its head, not so much we have a trust, which assets should we do? Are there any other types of assets where, irrespective of your general planning, the fact that you own that asset might drive you to do one of these trusts? Let me put it another way.
Yeah.
But if you're working to decide on whether you should be doing a trust at all, what we do is we look at your net worth, your family situation, how much gifting you've done, and run some calculations. And we determine, hey, you could save X dollars in total estate tax plus growth if you moved assets into a trust. And usually, if you're going to be over that estate tax, the answer is some sort of trust would be, and if you want to give your money away, some sort of trust would be efficient. And then you can think, maybe I'll put my Nvidia stock in, maybe I'll put my private equity in, maybe I'll put my company stock in, whatever it is. One thing that stands out to me as an answer to this question, I own an asset. Should that drive me to do one of these trusts? Might be relatively depressed value or low value early stage startup equity, where like a meme coin, you think there's a chance of 100x growth and you think there's a chance of it going to zero. And even if you're not yet anywhere near the estate tax limit, and the system wouldn't otherwise maybe suggest that it's time to start doing estate tax trust planning, you might still decide, hey, I think there's a chance that my $1 million of startup equity might be $100 million. So let me put it into a trust now. One, I guess you agree with me on startup equity. And two, are there any other assets that think fall into that category of it? The mere fact that I
Yeah.
have this asset might prompt me to look ahead and do some trust planning.
Yeah, you touched on it, but the sort of the startup equity that is eligible for QSBS, qualified small business stock treatment, which we don't have time to get into, but basically it's possible to transfer QSBS stock to a non-grantor trust and wipe out additional capital gains liability that way. And so you can get both the capital gains tax benefits and also the estate tax benefits that non-grantor trusts create. And so that's a narrow use case, but it comes up. And so for those people, non-grantor trusts in particular can make a lot of sense.